In this episode of Making Digitals Your Own, we're going to transform digital papers into a beautiful fabric hidden paperclip. Welcome, it's Barbara from Vienna, Austria. So I'm again going to work with my Russian with my Mushroom Garden Ephemera kit. You can find all the links below. The techniques you see me using in this series can of course be applied to other digitals as well. But this is my current kit for this month, so that's why I'm using this, and I find it super versatile and it's giving me so many ideas of what I could do. For these kind of paper clips, I'm going to use these two as my base pieces, and these are cut from the Mushroom Garden Ephemera page number 2. I printed everything on 200 GSM cardstock. If you've already printed the kit and you've printed it on regular copy paper, obviously you can just add cardstock on the back to make it more sturdy. So these are going to be the two sides of our paper clip. And I've also cut out two of the fairies. I've already also inked them up with walnut stain. So there are 3 fairy cards. They all look like this, and they are on this sheet, the Mushroom Garden Ephemera number 4. So they are on top like this, and these two were here, and I just cut them out of their card. So we have our 2 bases and we have our 2 focal points. So I'm going to pair this lighter fairy with this lighter mushroom and this fairy here with the pink flowers. But of course we need more. More is more in this series. So I want some elements sticking out from behind her. So let's put her aside for the moment. And I want to find some elements that I could use to stick behind. So I'm looking for small flowers. And I'm looking at these Mushroom Garden collage sheets, which is a separate kit available, also linked below. But you can of course also take images from floral books that you might already have at home. So I'm looking for small flowers. How about these yellow ones? I think yellow would be nice here, like as a pop of color. So I'm going to cut some of these out. I managed to leave them all in one piece except this little one here, and that just makes it a little more manageable, because otherwise when you have all of these separate little parts, they become a little bit hard to place on your card. And I've already inked them up with walnut stain and my little finger dauber. So hopefully we can just place these behind without having to cut them up and change positions. I think we do need this little one here as well. I wish I would have glued this onto cardstock first and then fussy cut them, because I just printed these collage sheets on regular copy paper, so this is quite flimsy. Hopefully it will be okay. But I want these flowers to pop out more. So I'll take this one step further. You could, of course, just color these with some markers or maybe water-soluble pencils or crayons. I'm going to use some embossing glaze using my Distress Embossing Dabber and covering all of these flowers. I'm not going to add any on the stem, just want to make sure it's all covered. Then I'll transfer them to this tray. Obviously, you can just use a clean sheet of paper as well. Let's add our glaze. Oh, I didn't even tell you. This is Distress Embossing Glaze Fossilized Amber. Since these are on such flimsy paper, of course they have curled up, but once this has cooled down, I can straighten that. That won't be a problem. So I have these now, and they are a little bit curved, which I like because that just gives them more dimension. Let's add this tiny one. I love that this is overlapping our fairy a little bit because that really makes her look like she's in the middle of these flowers. So seeing this now, I also want to add some more flowers down here. So looking at my collage sheets, I have these right here from Mushroom Garden collage sheet number 3. These are going to be very tricky to cut out. Alternatively, I could use these here, but I think it has to be these. Wasn't as bad as I thought. So if I place them here, they obviously have a very different color. So let's see what they look like once I add the same fossilized amber embossing glaze. So when it's melted, we have this, and I think this, yeah, this now fits together with the others. Next, I also want to add some of this, I'll call it forest moss sewing thread. And I'll put that right behind our fairy. You cannot see that, can you? Like that. Just adds another bit of texture. So I'll glue these pieces down. And once everything is glued on, of course my petals are now flat, unfortunately. But that's okay. I'm going to add some of this mustard yellow netting, which is from some vegetables or fruit from the grocery market. These come in so handy. Alternatively, you can obviously use cheesecloth, and we'll add some of this down here. So I'm happy with this one for now. So let's do it. The second one. So we have this base and we have this fairy. And this time, instead of taking flowers from my collage sheets, I'm going to use some die cuts. I'm going to use these by Sizzix, and they have the number 661206, and they're called Garden Greens. And the paper I'm going to use is this one. It's a black cardstock. It's called Mixed Media. It's 250 GSM or 115 pounds. It's by Claire Fontaine. But before I put the black cardstock through my die cut machine, I want to have some fun with some Distress mica stains. So I recently ordered a few more. I am so in love. So I have Sugary Gumdrop, Fortune Teller, Frosted Juniper, and Decayed. I really would love to also add this Wicked Elixir. Even though I'm not a huge green fan, I am so in love with this. But I still have not unclogged the nozzle. I'm going to add this at the end in a different way. So I'm just going to spray these onto my cardstock. Just as a reminder, if you're new to mica sprays like I am, it helps to have them laying on their side for a while before you use them. And always be sure to shake them up really well so that you hear the metal ball like this, because that really helps to distribute the mica in the liquid. So you're supposed to hold them like bells, basically. And then it always helps to check on the bottom here. If there's still a lot of mica on the bottom, then you need to keep shaking. But these look actually pretty good. So let's start with some Sugary Gumdrop. And of course, this is going to look very different on the black cardstock than it would on a white cardstock. Also, it helps to wipe your nozzle after spraying. So I do that with a piece of cloth. But they could still clog. Then I'll add the Fortune Teller. You could also dry these in between. The effects will be different. Wow, that purple is amazing. Actually, I'll dry it a little bit. It's not completely dry, but we're starting to see this gorgeous shine. Looks very dramatic on the black cardstock, doesn't it? So next I'll add some Frosted Juniper. Again, I'll dry that. Next, I'll add some Decade. This is such an amazing color. So once it's dry, we have this. How amazing is this? This is going to look so cool for die cuts. This A5 paper size works perfectly for the Sizzix Big Shot machines. I have the fold-away model, although I actually never close it. So now I'm just going to add all my dies. Even though they already look absolutely gorgeous, I do want them to have the green as well. So I'll just add it here on my baking paper. And then just dip them in. So now they have the beautiful green right on top. It's just perfect. So let's see which ones we could add on the back here. Wow, I am so in love with these. Maybe these. What do you think? I think that really enhanced this card. I'll go with those. So we can save these for another project, yay. Let's also try the Forest Moss sewing thread. Yes, and some Forest Moss dyed cheesecloth. So I dyed this using my Forest Moss Distress ink, just dabbing it on, spritzing some water. So this time I'll try the top-down gluing method. So I added the glue to my focal point and I'll just glue that over everything. And that will hold everything in place. And then I can just add a little more glue here on these pieces without having to lose the place they're in. Very different colors here, but I like how different they are. So we have our front and our back side ready to go. So I'm going to use some fabric to connect these two. And the fabric I have chosen for this, because I think the colors work really well, is this one here by Seth Apter. It's the Storyboard collection and it's called Possible. Has a lot of different colors. There again you see the name. And I think these colors work with what we have here, both with the yellow, because it has the golden yellow, and of course we have the pinks and the maroons here as well as green and turquoise. So perfect. So I'll cut a strip from this. So here's my strip. The way I determined the size is by laying my two tags on it like this, leaving some space here. This is what, maybe a centimeter? I don't think it's that relevant how much it is. So that's how I determined the size. Then we're going to glue these two pieces onto the fabric. So I'm using my textile glue. You can use PVA glue. If necessary, thin it down with a little bit of water if it's too thick to spread easily. And then we're going to glue these on so that one is facing this way and one is facing the opposite direction. Let's make sure there's no wrinkles. And let's dry this before we move on. So then we have this here. And now, of course, we still need to add our hidden paper clip. So I'm going to take this scrap piece of cardstock. I want to cut this piece of cardstock the length of the bottom of my tag, going all the way to the bottom of this tag. So here. and the width is not really relevant. It doesn't have to be the full width of our card, so I'll just cut a strip approximately like that. That's like what, an inch, I think. So once I have my strip, I'm going to fold this in half. And the reason why I wanted to have this as long as the card, including the piece of fabric up here, is because we're going to put this on the inside. And when we put this on a page, if we have something shorter, for example, like this, then I think if we add this to a page, the paper will get stuck right here. And so to prevent that, I wanted to have it the full length. So then we need to add our paper clip on top. If you have a large one, then you can use that. I actually only have this size right now. So we'll put that on here, but not all the way down. So we need to cut a slit, which is big enough for this paper clip. And of course, we want that centered. Like that. And so now we can add the paper clip and our strip. Like that. And then I want an elaborate bow up here. I just need to choose a color that's going to work for both designs. I'm using this pink one. I'm not sure what material this is. It's from a Danish store called Søstrene Grene. Oh, it says here 100% polyester. If you've seen my recent video where I made this tag right here, you can find the playlist for making digitals your own, link below, so you will find this video there. Then you might remember that I used my little hair flattener to sort of crinkle this ribbon up a bit, but in the meantime I have looked up how to do it properly. So let's try that method, and thank you so much to all of you who have left comments under that video giving me some tips. That was super helpful. So I'm going to do a bunch because I think most of the time that I will use this ribbon, I will want it crinkly. So let's just cut off a piece. And then the trick is to make it wet. Now I don't know if this is going to work with 100% polyester, but we will see. So we want to make it soft. Now this works best, apparently. I have not tried that. If you then, for example, put some rubber bands around this and maybe even a plastic bag if you want, seal that up and leave it at least overnight. But who's got time for that? I will do that with some other ribbons so that I have it ready to go for future projects. But for now, I don't have that time. So I'm just going to squish it as best as I can. It's definitely not as flat, but it's also not super crinkly. I wish I could just speed up time right now and beam us to the next morning like I usually could if I would finish this video tomorrow, but I want to finish it now. So I want this to work immediately, obviously. I'll do the best. This is not crinkling. Not really, is it? Oh no, it's just wet basically. So this is the wrong material. The videos I've watched, they all used, what was it called? Hugs and Tucks? No, hang on, let me check. Hug Snug. And that is washable and you can dye it and everything. So if you have access to that, go ahead. I don't think we have this here in Austria. If anyone knows the equivalent in German, please let me know. That would be super helpful. I think this is a fail. So I'm going to dry this with my heat gun, hoping that it's not going to melt. So it's dry. The good news is it has not melted. But the bad news is there's basically no wrinkles. But since I'm so set on wrinkles, I'm going to go ahead and again use this hair flattening iron to get my crinkles. So this is going to take a while. I'll just keep doing this and I'll show you once it's done. So this is what I've got. It's the best I can do for now. So let's put our paper clip through here. I'm not gluing it in yet. So I have the loop sticking out like this. And now I'm going to do my best to make an elaborate bow. Let's see if it works how I envision it. So I'll make my bow like I did last time. I still haven't looked up how to do it properly. I'm sure there's a better way of doing it. So I am wrapping this around my hand. Wait, I want it a little smaller. So let's make smaller loops. And I think that should be enough. So I want to make sure I have 2 ends, 1 and 2, and then I can cut this shorter. So I have 1 end from the inside, 1 end from the outside. I want to pinch the middle together, and then I want to put this through my paper clip. Like that, and then I'll wrap 1 end around to go through the paper clip. I am totally making this up as I go. Never tried this. The other one I'll wrap from top down, also through the paper clip. I don't want to see that metal piece there, so I'm going to wrap this around one more time and put that through again. And now I'll tie these two together. Where's my third hand? This would be so much easier. Okay, let's make that tight. Okay, let me cut this short. So now we need to put this through our little slit here. And then we need to stick it onto our folded cardboard. Like that. And then we need to glue the cardboard onto our fabric. And I will add some extra glue here where the paper clip is because we really don't want that to move. Oops. Let's make sure that is centered. And then we'll do the same for the other side. And we want to make sure that these two don't stick together, obviously. That wouldn't be good. So make sure they are separated. These would have totally stuck together. So I'm going to try my best to dry this a little bit. Let's pull this ribbon apart a little bit to make it look more elaborate. So that's the one side, and on this side we have the ends. I actually want them even shorter. So let's put it to the test. Oh, by the way, if you missed this one here, you can find that in the Make Digitals Your Own playlist below as well. This is a fun little flip out, as well as this very elaborate belly band. So I think my only option is to put it here, which is probably not the most ideal location, but just to demonstrate. So now we can just slide that onto our page. And we could, of course, tuck something else in here. So we have one side and we have the other side. And we have this elaborate bow peeking out from the top. So have fun making more digitals your own. Love you guys. Mwah, mwah.